back to my YouTube channel. It is your girl, the Fairy Mother, and we are back with another video. So today's glam is going to be a soft glam with a matte lip, as you can see, and we're going to jump right into it. I'm starting off with the brows, and I did draw on the brows with my Morphe pencil in the shade Java. And to carve out the brows, I'm using my Born This Way concealer by Too Faced in the shade Cookie. And I'm using a concealer brush from this brush set that I did get off of Amazon, and I will leave the link in the description box below. Guys know when I'm carving the brows, I do like starting at the arch. I feel like once you get the arch out of the way, the rest of the brow is much easier. So all you want to do is basically follow the shape of the brow as you're cleaning it up. So you don't need to go too much into your client's brow, just follow their natural brow shape. So now all I'm doing is grabbing my Morphe E4 brush to blend out the concealer on her lids. I also use the concealer as a base. I don't really care for primer, and all I'm doing is just going in tapping motions and blending that concealer in. Y'all, I really love this brush, but I think they're either discontinued or sold out. But it's a very soft brush, but it's dense at the same time, so it's perfect when blending out concealer. So I always get asked what shade is this eyeshadow color. It's actually 3 shades mixed together, and I am using the Warrior 2 eyeshadow palette by Juvias Place. And the 3 shades that I did mix is the Jamata, Kufuru, and the Yoded. So the dark brown, the light brown, and the burgundy. So this shade really depends on your client's skin tone. You want to make sure that, you know, it's not too dark for them or too light. So sometimes when I do go too dark, I just use the lighter brown to lighten it up. But it all really depends on your client and their skin tone. So the brush that I'm using to blend the eyeshadow is from BH Cosmetics. You guys, I believe that this brush is discontinued or either sold out. I checked on the website, I did not see it. And all I'm doing here is just packing and then blending. And when I'm blending my eyeshadow, I just go back and forth in circular motions. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to skin, and I'm using my Embryolisse for moisturizer. I do get mine off on Amazon, and I'm going to go ahead and grab a brush to push that in. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our primer. For primer, I'm using the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. Love this so much. It is definitely a dupe for the Milk. And I'm going to grab that same brush and push that into her skin. I'm going to go in with my Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation from Nars in the shade Tahoe, and I'm applying it on her skin with that same concealer brush. So this foundation is really matching her chest because her face was a little darker than her body and her neck, so I used Tahoe to match it. Now all I'm doing here is carving out the top of her brow. I'm using the same foundation and the same concealer brush. Remember, all you're doing is following the shape of your client's natural brow. Not every client have the same brow or the same brow shape, so just follow their natural brow. Always remember to thin out the tail, not cut it off. Your tail does not need to be too long to the point it's touching your client's ears. Just thin out your tail as you go, but don't cut it off. Go ahead and grab my Charlotte Tilbury setting spray and spray her face. And then I'm grabbing my Real Techniques Insta Cheek Brush 405 to blend out the foundation. So notice that I am using tapping motions. I am not swiping the brush. Swiping leaves streaks, so you want to avoid swiping. So just tap, tap, tap your brush and blend that foundation in. You also want to make sure that you're getting under the jawline down to the neck as well. Blend your foundation in. You don't want to miss areas like the neck, under your chin, your jawline, because you don't want it to look like a mask. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab that same brush that I used to blend the concealer on her eyelids to blend around her baby hairs and edges. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply concealer in her T-zone area, and I'm using the same shade that I used for the brows, which is the shade Cookie. Y'all keep in mind that this is actual real time. I did not fast forward anything, so I just wanted to switch up things just to let you guys see how, the blending goes on in real time. So I'm just applying the concealer down her nose, under her eyes, forehead, and chin. So to blend out the concealer, I'm grabbing my Real Techniques setting brush, and this is in the number 402. I'm starting at the chin using tapping motions. Again, you guys do not want to swipe because it leaves streaks. You want to make sure that the edges of the concealer are blended. I always leave the under eyes for last because I like them to sit a little longer. So I do like to go ahead and blend the sides of the nose as well because I don't want my concealer to be harsh. When blending out the under eye concealer, I always like to start out at the edge first and then work my way in. And of course, I'm using tapping motions. I always like to blend my concealer in the same position that it was placed so it doesn't get carried out into other areas of the face. Now all I'm doing is grabbing the foundation brush and blending out the harsh edges of the concealer. I did not add any more product on the brush. Cream contour, I'm going in with my black opal foundation stick and in the shade Carob, and I apply the product on the back of my hand and grab my brush to apply it to the face. I don't really like applying the product directly to the face, for two reasons. Obviously because, I'm using one product on all my clients, and because I find that it blends better when I apply with the brush instead of going straight to the face. So contouring is basically bringing dimension and structure to the face, and I'm just applying that contour on her cheekbones, her forehead, her chin, and down the sides of her nose. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply my liquid blush, and I'm using the new Juvias Place blushes, and this is in the shade Pink Lady. And I'm putting the blush on the back of my hand and grabbing a brush and tapping it on the apples of the cheek and going backwards with it towards her temple. So for this blush, a little goes a long way. I rather you build it up than go in with a whole bunch of products. And just remember to keep blending until it's flawless and seamless. I wanted to go ahead and brighten the under eye just a little bit more, so I'm going in with my Too Faced concealer, and this is in the shade Swan, and I'm using the same Real Technique setting brush to blend it out. Now to set the concealer, I'm using my Mercier in the shade Translucent, and I'm using a powder puff that I did get off of Amazon. Now the first layer of setting powder that I'm going to use, I'm more so pressing it into the skin, and then when I put on the second layer, that's going to be me baking. Now I'm going to go ahead and set the rest of the face, which is the chin, upper lip, forehead, and the nose. So to contour her face, I'm using my Maybelline Fit Me Press Powder in the shade 355. And the brush that I'm using is my Morphe E34 brush. And y'all, when you contour with a pressed powder instead of a actual contour palette, it's less harsh and more seamless, more soft on the face. Don't get me wrong, you can still get the same outcome with a contour palette or actual contour product, but I felt like the pressed powder was way less harsh, and especially if you build it up, it was so smooth. So I'm just applying it on her cheekbones, her forehead, her chin, her jawline, and then I'm going to take it along the sides of her nose. To snatch her nose, I'm taking my Morphe M135 brush and I'm just taking it along the sides of her nose and into the beginning of that brow. I love to blend my contour or bronzer into the brow and eyeshadow just to give it a more blended look. If you don't like blush, you need to rethink your life. So for blush, we're going in with the Sephora collection blush, and this is in the shade Hey Jealousy. This is my favorite blush, hands down. And I'm just applying that on the apples of her cheeks and carrying it back towards the temples. Now I'm grabbing the same powder, my Laura Mercier translucent, and the same powder puff, and I'm just reverse contouring. So now I'm just going to go ahead and smoke out her bottom lash line. I'm using the same shades that I use for the eyeshadow on the lids for the bottom. Yeah, my client has very, very sensitive eyes. So once we touched the eyes, her eyes started watering. So I cleaned it up and fixed it as best as I can, but her eyes would not stop watering. So just keep that in mind. So now all I'm doing is applying lashes. I always put the glue on the lash line instead of the lashes because that way the lashes won't have anywhere to stick but to where the glue is placed. And I usually just stick the middle and then work on the ends after. When you're dealing with clients who have watery eyes, it's an easy fix unless they keep tearing up, which was what was happening with her. So you just want to dry the area where the water is and put down a little bit of concealer, blend that in lightly, then set your setting powder again and move on. I did that a couple of times, but her eyes would not stop watering. So this lip liner has to be one of my favorite lip liners at the moment. It is from Beauty by Melissa on Instagram, and it is in the shade Brownie Points. I will leave the information in the description box below. So all I'm doing is basically just following the natural shape of her lips. She already has full lips, so I'm not going to do too much overlining. At this point, I was so focused on the lips, I didn't even notice her eyes watering until after. And the lipstick that I'm using is also from Beauty by Melissa, and it is in the shade Cremas. Cremas for all my zoos. Yes, she's Haitian. Not cremas, not crema, Cremas. Now to set the whole face and dust off the setting powder, I'm going in with my Maybelline pressed powder in the shade 332. Now I'm grabbing my Wow Brow Gel from e.l.f. and this is in the shade Deep Brown, and I'm just combing it through her brows to help the brows stay in place and give it a more natural look. I'm going in with my Crayon Case On a Roll highlighter and a highlighter brush from Morphe, and I'm just putting it on the apples of her cheek and the tip of her nose. I don't like too much highlighter, I just like a light shimmer. Now I'm going back in with my Charlotte Tilbury setting spray to set the face. Now I'm just grabbing my foundation brush and I'm pushing in the setting spray. Remember, always push in any spray that you spray on the face, and it helps with setting the face and getting rid of any cakey look. And y'all, this is the finished look. It looks amazing. I just love me a good soft glam. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.